music in all bands with Erik Ferentinos from the Pearcy Band. Thanks for taking time out to conduct this interview with me. No problem. Thanks for having me on, and hello to everyone out there in podcast land. Would you please give us some information on the new CD currently being recorded? Absolutely. This is our follow-up to Stephen Pearcy's Smash record that we released last year on Frontier's label, and they had picked up the option for us to do a second release, so that's what we're right in the middle of right now. And, I think we're turning this in by the end of April, so hopefully Stephen's fans will get a hold of it by the end of August. It's going to be 11 new original songs that are coming out really fantastic so far. I've read that you have produced some of the new songs. Do you produce other bands as well? I've been approached by regional bands in Southern California that liked what they were hearing on Stephen's releases, and so I get approached by a few to work with them on some of their music. This past year, one was Permacrush, and most recently a band called Dark Entries was over my place doing a song. So that's something I do just in my free time, and people need some help getting their songs together. I work with them on that. And then as far as the Stephen stuff, we have a pretty cool arrangement that seems to work for us, where all year long I'll basically just send him music compositions where I basically lay out the song musically with all the instruments and the songs that he thinks that he can do something with. He kind of sets aside into a pile till we get about 11 or 12 of those together, and then we just kind of go in and do it. We don't know exactly what he's going to sing till he gets here, but that's how he's always done it. And in some weird way, when he and I work like that, it works. And it's working right now, so we're just kind of sticking to that method. It's kind of less cooks in the kitchen method, and we work closely with Matt Thorne. It's his studio that we use, MT Studios here in Burbank, and he's an amazing engineer, and he has great ideas, production ideas, and so forth. And just between the three of us, we can make records. We had Scott Coogan from Lynch Mob and Ace Frehley played drums on this one, so he was the first up to lay the basic tracks, and he did an amazing job. The guy plays with a ton of spirit, and I'm sure a lot of the Stephen fans are familiar with him from playing with Ace and Lita and all these great rockers of the 80s. So he's the perfect guy to come in, and he finished his tracks in about 2 days, and I went in and did all the guitars in about 2 days. Matt did bass already, so now we're just having Stephen show up and do his magic, and we're about halfway through with the vocals, so probably got about another week of tracking to get the rest of them, and then we're in mix mode and turn the sucker in. We're also trying to come up with the title. We're close on the title. I think he's going to be announcing that in the next few days. Can you announce any song titles at this time? A couple of the songs that he's done vocals on already. One is kind of somewhat of like a James Bond tribute song. Steve is a huge Bond fan. He even has the 007 tattoo on his neck. People are familiar with, but we have a song called You Only Live Twice that's really badass. It might even be the first song that we released. It kind of captured our intent, with the tune in the studio here. So that's a go. Another one was One in a Million, which is kind of old school AC/DC, Aerosmith kind of rock song. There's another song, Sky Fallen, that came out real great. And God, it might even be like a hit song. I can't believe how good Steven did on the chorus to this tune we're doing, but it's called Secrets to Tell, and really impressive what he did with it. So those are a couple of songs. He's we got about another 5 or 6 to do, and like I said, it's always like a surprise. We don't know exactly what he has in mind for it till he gets here, but then we just dig into it, and between Matt, me, and him, we just put it together, and it comes out great.
Does everybody contribute to the writing on the new album?
Well, Matt certainly has been helpful with like some of the interlude things or little intros, moody intro kind of things, or outros. The bulk of the music I personally do ahead of time, and then Steven, writes 99% of his vocals. We're on hand if we got to swap out a lyric here and there, but we base the songs off of his melodies that he comes up with, and he usually has a good 80% of the song lyrically, melody-wise, ready to go when he comes in. So we're just here, to help with that extra, couple percent needed. So it's pretty, mostly a 50-50 thing with Steve and I. There's, we couldn't nearly do as good a job if we weren't working with Matt here. He just has the experience, the studio experience to capture the production we're looking for on here. Hope that answers that.
Oh, yes. And you also have Frankie Wilty in the band. And Frankie's been with Steven since the early days of Arcade.
That's correct.
What's the chemistry between you guys?
Well, Frankie, I built Frankie from Arcade days as well. And he and I are totally friends, when you play in a band, close to 20 years with people, they become like your rock and roll brothers and stuff. So, Frankie and I have had so many adventures on Steve and Pearcy tours over the years that we probably can't talk about most of the stuff. But anyways, as far as personal chemistry, we get along, magnificently, and he's a classic rock, player, and, Steven and I love all that music. Frankie also plays with Aerosmith, which is up his alley, doing all the Aerosmith songs, because he's always been known to know all those songs, note for note, and everything. So live, he helps us kind of keep that classic rock vibe on stage, which is, important for, Steven's genre. I love Frankie. And actually, we're hoping to get him in to do some stuff as well.
In a live setting, do you guys feed off one another?
In a live setting?
Yes, correct.
Occasionally, certainly, when we're on like a full-blown tour, we can get more in tune with each other. With all the legal stuff with Steven's been dealing with the last couple of years, we've had like limited amount of performances, so in a lot of cases we were just trying to get caught up to where we were, because sometimes we don't see each other 2 or 3 months or something, and then we'll have a fly out show, and we just kind of got to go out and do the best we can. But Steven has a new agent this year, TKO, agency out of New York. So I know right now they're working to get us some more solo shows through the year. To even have some RATT gigs this year as well. So they kind of have to work that out, you know. But definitely we'll be out playing again more this year. We have 2 shows I know about at the moment in May. I might forget the actual dates, but one is the Whiskey and towards the end of May in Hollywood, California, and then also we're doing a free show in Houston, Texas, at a place called the Proof Bar. As well, they could check Steven's site for that or any of the online concert notification places. But those are in May, and we'll probably head back out to start working again. About that time. Right now, it's just getting this record done is the most consuming thing because we want it to be great. So we're putting in the hours to make it so.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be great. I mean, what makes this CD different than the last one?
I think the difference would be, in the past years, like in the early 2000s, many of the CDs that Steven did at that time weren't like big money record deals. They were for just a few grand. So he just had to plop out whatever he could just to whatever. Frontiers, when they signed him about a year and a half ago or whatever, it was an opportunity to have a better budget to make better recordings. So Smash was already like sounding better than stuff we had done before. But when we got that, we were basically he had songs that he and I had ideas for like over a decade or something. So some of them, some of the riffs and stuff I had come up with like years before. You know what I mean? So I mean, to me, as much as I like some stuff on Smash, a little bit was a little hodgepodgey. I don't want to, just as far as like the overall continuity of it was a little all over the place. Whereas the new record, everything was written in the last 12 months. So I think it automatically is going to have a little bit more continuity to it because the songs were just all came to be around the same time this past year and kind of somehow reflects, our current attitude and views and on things. So I think it's just more continuity with the new one, and it's also I don't want to say heavier like it's some kind of new metal record or anything because it's not. But it's the heavier of the heavy rock stuff. I mean, if you looked at Steven's RATT career and you take a song like You Think You're Tough, and then you take a song like You're in Love. You're in Love is a much heavier song, but it's still like a rock song, as opposed to a death metal song or something. So on this newer record, I think so. Half the songs have that kind of dancing undercover. If I lay it down, You're in Love type sound. And then we do still touch on some of our, classic Zeppelin, AC/DC, whatever type feel on some of the tunes as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm just digging it. It's weird how we're even able to make this stuff happen. I mean, it's not everybody can write cool original rock songs. There's no shortage of great players out there, to be sure. But I think there's a small amount that can actually write any songs that are worth a crap. And he and I are a few of those few.
What new songs are going to be included in the set list?
As far as from the record we're doing right now?
Yes.
If we did anything on this new record, it would probably be You Only Live Twice, and I don't think we push our luck with the crowd, just because they're not even going to be able to get this record till any shows we do before then, they're really not going to know anything off it. But, I mean, the sooner we start trying to play a few songs off it, the better we'll play them. So I'd like to start trying to. But You Only Live Twice is just a badass song, and I think that we might have to try to work that in. As far as off of Smash, we were experimenting, with stuff, last year to see what the people were going to go for or not. Again, like, if it's a song we have a video for, they're more familiar with it. So, we had done a video for 10 Miles Wide last year, so they kind of knew that one. So when we played it live, it had a good response. But as we started to, dig deeper into the CD, then you kind of sometimes get that reaction where people are kind of watching you. Not necessarily that they don't like it, but you don't quite get the same reaction as you do off the hits that they've heard a million times. But, to sidestep that, I'm really going out of my way to give him riffs that are, close to the quality that his fans in the 80s were used to hearing. So that it's like, wow, this sounds like something I love. I know it's something new, but it sounds old in an awesome way. And, hopefully they go for it. I would love it if his fans liked his solo stuff enough that they were expecting to hear at least half of that. That would be awesome. I'd be happy. But at the same time, I realized, we got to play a 75-minute set. So for sure, we're still, for the solo show, is going to play at least 10 of Steven's RATT hits, because that's what most of the people came up for. We want them to keep coming back. And so we just kind of slip in a couple of new nuggets here and there, to see how they take it.
Oh, I've seen you perform before here in Buffalo, New York, and every time it's been a great show, so no disappointments with me, I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, with our shows, they're going to get some kind of show, whether it's a shitty show or an awesome show.
Oh, no.
They're still going to watch the whole thing, whether it's a train wreck or a win, we're entertaining. That's really what it's about. Were you entertained?
Oh, yes, it's that. I wasn't the only one. You got a great crowd response.
Yeah, Buffalo, that must have been some years back, and it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I'd certainly love to come back.
We'd like to see you back. You had mentioned Scott Coogan coming in to play now, taking over for Greg D'Angelo. What happened with Greg D'Angelo? Why did he leave?
I think that it was that's between he and Steven, I think, for the most part. But he's a guy who's had a lot of success in his life too, more so than me by far. He has a platinum White Lion record on the wall. I could only dream to have I don't think anybody is going to have a platinum record on the wall ever again. Really, I think Rihanna's last record only sold under 50,000 copies or something like that. So, but he's had a lot of accomplishments. So maybe it's not the same things driving him as maybe would drive a guy like me to get to a known place, or to a guy like me to try to contribute to music in general, to give the planet some songs that they really dug and that made their life better for a minute, so I'm coming from a sincere place with that, and I think Greg's definitely a business guy, taking up some of the business that I used to handle, tour managing and stuff, and I'm not sure exactly what went down. I'm sure the short of it would be a financial reason. If I was to put one word reason, finances, and maybe he just wasn't having fun anymore with it. That's something you'd probably have to ask him. But he wasn't fired or anything like that. He had chose to leave. So, and at that point, it it was like, who do we get? And we had played with Scott before, probably like 2006, right after he had done Brides of Destruction with Nikki Sixx and Tracy Gunn. So I remember playing with, Scott back in like 2005 or 2006 or 7. And he was just a fun guy. He's crazy. The guy's crazy. But he just plays with, I just like the way he plays, and he's obviously fun to watch. And, he's got great musical taste. He's just a really talented guy. He has a band he does in Vegas where he does all Zeppelin, and he sings like Robert Plant and plays the drum, the bottom drum beats, the whole. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see. But he started playing on the shows with us this year, and he'll be at the 2 we're doing in May, and hopefully whatever else, schedule permitting. Otherwise, if he's not available, I'm not sure exactly what we're doing on that. If that shall arise. But we're happy to have him back, and he just, did such a great job in here. For a drummer to just walk in. I mean, he's a band guy. It's not like Scott. I mean, Scott does studio work, but it's not that he's just a studio guy or something. He's the full rock star guy. But for him to just roll up and play on, 11, 12 songs he's pretty much never heard before, and play that well in one day is pretty incredible, and I'm definitely grateful that he was available. He had just done like the Monsters of Rock cruise or something, and I think they had to fly into LAX or something, and he happened to be here, so just like everything kind of aligned, and we were able to get the guy who felt was the best for this record, and it was Scott for sure.
Have you ever thought about working with other bands or solo CD?
I did, probably about a decade ago, I was doing a side band, and, Steven kind of talked me into it. He's like, you need to get your own band and sing, and he always pushes me to do stuff, but, so I started a band called the Anti-Division, where I was like the singer guitar player, and, I mean, it wasn't that helpful having playing for Steven, because that music I was doing was like more like a 9 Inch Nails or something, it wasn't necessarily something that the rap fans were into, so that I wasn't getting any love from there, and it was just like starting completely over again, where you're trying to find people that are gonna play for next to nothing just so you could go do some shows, and it was beginning to be more of a hassle than it was worth. So after about like 5 years of trying to mess with that, I just kind of put it down and went, you know what, most people know me for playing for Steven. Why don't I just focus all my energies on trying to write him the best music I can, and then, if later down the road people appreciate what I did for him and they can see what I'm capable of, maybe that'll lead to a gig later in life. I'm younger than the RATT guys, by almost 20 years, so I obviously they'll probably be retired at some point when I'll still be able to play, and at that time, maybe something cool will happen for me with some other artist or something, but, I don't look that far ahead. I'm like a month-to-month guy with everything, renting, and, I can't worry myself about stuff too far in the future. I just kind of deal with, like, what's in front of me, typically. And so right now it's just, keeping in good health, getting this record kicked out, and trying to play the best live shows I could do.
Will there be a video for the new CD?
Yes. Glad you asked that. There will be a video. That's one thing we're kind of... They were cool, Frontiers, last year by giving us a little budget to do the 10 Miles Wide video, which came out pretty good. So we'll do something at least of that quality for this record. Definitely at least one video. I'm hoping they do two, because it seemed like after we'd done the first video, it's just that, it takes effort to keep something out there, a record, doing its thing out there. It takes a certain amount of promotion. I think, Frontiers is still figuring that out. They just, they acquired like so many of the '80s bands, LA Guns, and all these bands in the last year or so. So they're kind of they went big and grabbed all those guys and put out records for them. And I think they're trying to figure out like how it all worked out, what to do, what they would do different. I'm sure those are all things they're contemplating. I guess now they have a West Coast, United States PR guy out here, so I'm interested to work with him too, with pushing this record and things like that. And for all the bands, so all the bands that are on Frontiers, are getting some extra help, especially the ones in our area where this guy is. The label's in Milan, Italy, by the way. So it's good they have somebody in the States.
Yes, the headquarters, the original, is over in Milan, Italy. You are correct on that. I remember reading that somewhere. How's it like working with Matt Thor from Rough Cut? I mean, you've been with him for, since the very beginning.
Well, I have known Matt for a long time. I mean, we were trying. Sorry, he does have dogs. You can hear them. That's something we might edit out. Hold on one second. Okay, we'll edit that out possibly. Anyways, Matt, I first met Matt probably 1997. I want to say I was pretty young. I was in my early 20s, and I had already been friends with Steven for some time, but he wanted to do a song up here at Matt's, and so that was my first time coming up, and we had just messed around and did a couple songs. The song Dizzy and La Roche and whatever. It was like my first time being up here, and I didn't really know what to expect. And Matt had just started a studio back then. That was over 20 years ago. So of course I knew him since back then. We asked him to come play in the band, I believe, about 5 years ago. So he's done all our gigs for the last probably 5 years. Before that, we had some guys from Omaha, Nebraska. Troy Johnson was a bassist for a good time. He's an amazing player as well. So I think the first good 7-8 years of the band was Troy Johnson, and then we went through a couple of guys. One notable one was Mike Duda from Lost, who we love Mike, but he has a great gig with Blackie, and he spends a good portion of the year out of the country. So it's just we had to get somebody that was more around to do it, and we're lucky to get Matt. He's just a great all-around musician and a good person too, which is important. And it's been good.
Is there anything that you'd like to add and say to the fans that I haven't spoken about?
Well, to the fans, that's a good one. Well, just to get excited, because you're going to be hearing some really kick-ass songs, and know that Stephen Pearcy is not finished yet by any stretch. He still has it, and they're going to hear that real soon here. And that's it. We can't wait to get out and party with you guys again.
What's the best way for people to keep up, knowing what's going on with you guys?
Metal Sludge. Metal Sludge first, and then Blabbermouth. No, but seriously, Steven has a website at steven-pearcy.com. Then he also has Top Fuel Records, but two fans, any of his fans that want to connect with me, they can on Facebook too. I always post the dates and release dates of stuff on there, and they would just, I guess, look up Erik Ferentinos on there and shoot me an ad or a follow or something, and that's always a good way too.
Well, thank you very much, Erik, for conducting this interview. It's been great, and I just want to say everybody needs to go out, pick up this new album when it comes out in August, look for the new video coming out, and the next couple of months. And
yeah, we'll have to get back together and talk about it after it's out.
oh yes, we will, definitely, for sure. That would be excellent. Great idea.
And I owe you a Smash CD. I did find an envelope to send that just yesterday, so definitely by tomorrow I'll get those emailed to you.
Thank you very much. You've been more than accommodating.
Anytime, my friend. I wish you the best of luck with all music, all bands, and thanks for having me on the show. Hope to do it again.
And I know you got Steven coming up tonight to record some vocals for the new CD.
The Wanted Man is en route.
The Wanted Man is coming to town. All right. Marcus, did you stop it? Marcus, are you there? I think he took off. Probably because he's got a bad cough and shit. But is Steven really coming up there, huh? No shit.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to be been here already, but yeah, we're just doing vocals.
So you got like a home? Well, you got the home studio, right?
Well, it's a legit studio out here. I mean,
I know.
Built in Matt's backyard, but it's like it's its own standalone place with
you don't have to. I mean, does that save you guys money when it comes to recording?
Well, certainly, we compensate Matt for his time in engineering and stuff, but certainly, yeah, it's probably half the cost of what it would be to go into a studio at this level. Plus, I mean, he does a lot on his own. He's in the band, so I mean, he's been cool to like do his tracks on his own and on his own time and things, bass wise. So he's certainly saved us money, but I mean, for the work he's doing, he needs to be compensated, for it as well. It's a lot of work to make an album, no two ways about it.
Okay. Eric, I've been posting a lot of stuff about Steven's solo stuff with you.
Well, we appreciate it. I do, certainly.
Because, in my opinion, just because, it's not like with Warren and, doesn't mean it's not any good.
No,
songs are the songs are the songs.
Let me tell you this. They're the guys from back then that were in their teens and early 20s and the early 80s it was a really great timing for them. I mean, if you had long hair and you could kind of noodle a little bit, you were in. And it hasn't been that time for a long time. And there are some really talented musicians, on this planet that, the breaks seem to always go to the guys with the name from the 80s when I think in reality people don't realize that they might not have had that much to do with the success of the band as far as the records go anyway. There was a lot of ghost players that played on the stuff back then because those guys were young, There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in some cases. In Warren's case, he did some legendary stuff on the RATT records. And I know every time I always try to play his solos how they go out of respect to him. You know what I mean? I don't change the solos to do it my way. I mean, I can't always play it exactly like him, but I try. Like I said, out of respect. But I guess what I'm getting at is, there are some of us from maybe a later generation that have something to offer too, and it just